Across the world, people work long hours, chase contracts and build empires, yet many still feel empty, restless, and without peace. Wealth without barakah becomes a burden instead of a blessing. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us principles that go beyond profit and loss. He showed us how every deal, every transaction, and every effort can be a step closer to Allah. When you choose honesty over deceit, fairness over greed, and trust in Allah over shortcuts, your business gains not only success in this world, but also reward in the hereafter. That is the true formula for barakah. In today's world, profit is often seen as the ultimate measure of success. Businesses are judged by their numbers, their growth, and their returns. But in Islam, there is something greater than profit, something that gives true meaning to wealth, barakah. Barakah is the blessing of Allah in your earnings, the unseen increase that brings peace and satisfaction even if the amount seems small. Many people earn large sums yet complain of emptiness. They have wealth but no tranquility. They have assets but no barakah. On the other hand, some earn modestly, but their money stretches, their hearts are at ease, and their families live in harmony. This is the difference between chasing profit alone and striving for barakah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that honesty and fairness bring barakah, while dishonesty destroys it. Profit gained through deceit may look impressive, but it carries no blessing. It may be spent on repairs, illnesses, or problems that never end. True wealth is not the amount, but the peace Allah places in it. When profit becomes the only goal, greed takes over. People begin to cut corners, cheat customers, or exploit workers. The short-term numbers may rise, but the long-term damage is severe. Barakah disappears, and with it the joy of what was earned. Profit without barakah becomes a curse rather than a blessing. Barakah transforms earnings into worship. When you seek it, your work becomes a means of serving Allah. Providing for your family, giving charity, and dealing fairly all become acts of worship. Even a small halal profit, when filled with barakah, carries reward in this world and the next. The Quran warns that wealth earned unjustly will never benefit. It may shine today, but it fades tomorrow. Profit earned through riba, deception, or oppression may seem to increase, but in reality, it is stripped of barakah. Wealth that lacks Allah's blessing only increases burdens and distance from Him. True success is not measured by balance sheets, but by the presence of barakah. You may earn less, but sleep peacefully at night. You may run a small business, yet your family feels cared for and your heart is content. That contentment is a gift no number can buy, and it is proof of barakah. Barakah is also found in time. Some people work endlessly but never feel fulfilled, while others achieve much with little effort. The difference lies in Allah's blessing. When your work is honest and your intentions pure, Allah puts barakah in your time, allowing you to achieve far more than you thought possible. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, prayed for barakah in the early hours of the morning. This shows us that success is not only about working hard, but working with Allah's guidance. Profit is multiplied when coupled with His blessing, while effort without barakah feels empty and tiring. Barakah also extends beyond wealth. It is the harmony in a household, the success of children, the peace of mind, and the good health to enjoy what you earn. Profit can buy luxuries, but barakah brings joy. Without it, even the most expensive possessions feel lifeless and unfulfilling. Seeking barakah requires honesty. When you deal fairly, when you avoid deceit, and when you fulfill your promises, Allah places blessing in your work. Customers return, trust grows, and your reputation shines. These outcomes cannot be bought with money. They are gifts from Allah for those who value integrity. Profit may impress people, but barakah impresses Allah. It is better to earn little with His pleasure than to earn much with His anger. Remember, the wealth you leave behind does not enter your grave, but the barakah in your deeds follows you forever. Profit ends with this life. Barakah continues into the hereafter. Chasing profit alone often leads to stress and competition. People compare themselves to others, always feeling they are behind. But when you chase barakah, your perspective changes. You no longer measure by numbers, but by peace, contentment, and reward. That shift brings calmness even in times of financial struggle. Barakah is also linked to charity. The more you give, the more Allah blesses what remains. Profit decreases when you spend it, but barakah increases when you share it. This is the divine formula. What you give for Allah never diminishes. It only multiplies in ways you cannot measure. Profit may make you wealthy in the eyes of people, but barakah makes you rich in the sight of Allah. It ensures your earnings serve you, not destroy you. It brings peace to your heart, stability to your family, and blessings to your future. What truly matters is not how much you earn, but whether Allah has placed barakah within it. Fairness is a pillar of Islam, and in business it is one of the greatest signs of true faith. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, set a standard so high that it continues to guide us more than 1400 years later. His dealings were marked by honesty, transparency, and justice. These principles are not only ethical, but also spiritual, because every trade becomes an act of worship when done with fairness. From his earliest days as a merchant, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy. People trusted him with their goods, their money, and their agreements. He never cheated or deceived, even when he could have gained more profit. This reputation of trust was the foundation of his success in both business and leadership. Fair dealing means giving people what is due to them without hiding faults or exaggerating benefits. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warned against cheating in trade. Once, he found a merchant hiding spoiled grain under fresh grain. He told him that deception destroys blessings. This teaches us that unfairness may bring quick profit, but it removes barakah. The Quran commands believers to give full measure and weight in justice. This is more than a business rule, it is a divine command. Fair dealing reflects the fear of Allah. When you give people their rights, you are not only protecting your reputation, but also fulfilling a duty to your Creator. The Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized honesty as the key to trust. A trader who deals truthfully will be raised with the prophets, the truthful, and the martyrs on the day of judgment. This shows how highly Allah values fairness in trade. It elevates a person's rank beyond worldly success, turning business into worship. Fairness is not just about selling, it is also about buying. The Prophet, peace be upon him, praised the one who is gentle when selling, gentle when buying, and gentle when demanding his rights. This balance shows that fairness is not about winning every deal, but about treating others with dignity. One of the greatest harms in unfair dealing is oppression. Cheating, lying, or exploiting others is a form of injustice. And Allah has forbidden injustice upon himself and upon his servants. A Muslim trader must remember that wealth without justice is not a blessing but a test. True wealth comes with fairness, not exploitation. The Prophet, peace be upon him, also taught compassion in transactions. He encouraged leniency with those who struggle to pay, and he promised Allah's mercy for those who forgive debts. This standard goes beyond fairness into mercy, reminding us that business is not just about numbers, but about human relationships. Fair dealing protects society. When honesty prevails, trust grows. Communities thrive when people know they will not be cheated. But when dishonesty spreads, society weakens and people lose confidence in one another. By following the Prophet's standard, we build stronger families, communities, and nations. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said that merchants will be resurrected on the day of judgment as sinners, except those who fear Allah, are honest, and speak the truth. This shows the gravity of fairness. Business is not neutral. It can either uplift you to Jannah or drag you down to punishment. The choice lies in how fair you are. Fairness also means paying workers their due. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warned against delaying wages, saying that the worker should be paid before his sweat dries. This principle ensures dignity for workers and prevents exploitation. A Muslim employer's fairness is not just business practice, but an act of obedience to Allah. The Prophet's standard of fairness was also rooted in humility. He did not look down on people because of their financial status. He treated the rich and poor with equal respect. In today's world of social divisions, this lesson is more relevant than ever. Fairness means valuing people for who they are, not for what they own. Fair dealing includes keeping promises. Breaking contracts, altering agreements, or failing to deliver on commitments are all forms of dishonesty. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught that one of the signs of hypocrisy is failing to keep promises. A believer's word should be as reliable as his handshake. When Muslims uphold fairness in business, they become ambassadors of Islam. The Prophet's honesty in trade won hearts long before his message spread. Today, when Muslims trade with fairness, they reflect his sunnah and draw people closer to the values of Islam. Every honest deal becomes a form of da'wah. The Prophet's standard of fair dealing teaches us that wealth is not the real prize. Integrity is. Profit fades, but fairness is recorded forever. A person who conducts business with justice may not always have the highest numbers, but they will always have the highest honor with Allah. That is true success, and that is what truly matters. Honesty is not just a virtue in Islam, it is the foundation upon which all dealings must stand. Without honesty, business collapses into deceit, mistrust, and loss of blessings. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known as the trustworthy long before he received prophethood because his entire character radiated truthfulness. That example set the gold standard for every Muslim trader. Trade is not only about exchanging goods for money, it is about trust. When someone buys from you, they are trusting your word, your measure, and your intention. If honesty is absent, that trust is betrayed and the profit earned becomes tainted. Allah's blessing rests only where honesty is present. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, promised that the truthful trader will be resurrected among the prophets, the righteous, and the martyrs. What an incredible rank for someone who merely sells and buys with integrity. This shows us that business is not separate from faith. It is a field where honesty elevates you to greatness. Dishonesty in trade may give the illusion of success, but it destroys barakah. A person may sell at higher prices, hide faults in their goods, or make false promises, but that profit will slip away through hardship, sickness, or loss. Wealth without honesty brings only emptiness and regret. An honest trader, even if he earns less, is wealthier in the sight of Allah. His reputation grows, customers return, and his peace of mind is preserved. Honesty may not always increase numbers immediately, but it builds trust, and trust is the most valuable currency in business. The Quran warns against those who cheat in weights and measures. Allah despises dishonesty in trade because it is oppression. A Muslim is commanded to give full measure, not to take advantage of others. Every gram stolen, every cent withheld is recorded. On the day of judgment, nothing will escape Allah's justice. Honesty in business is also honesty with yourself. You cannot claim to be a person of faith and deceive others for gain. Integrity must flow through every action, from how you present your product to how you deliver your service. Business built on lies eventually collapses, but business built on honesty stands firm. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that hiding the faults of a product is a form of deception. If something is damaged, it must be disclosed. Honesty requires openness, even if it risks reducing profit. That short-term loss becomes a long-term gain because Allah places barakah in sincerity. An honest trader reflects Islam more powerfully than words. Many people embraced Islam simply by witnessing the Prophet's honesty in trade. Today, Muslims who carry that same standard become ambassadors of the deen. Every fair deal becomes a silent da'wah that speaks louder than any lecture. Honesty is also shown in fulfilling promises. If you agree to deliver goods at a certain time or for a certain price, you must honor that. Breaking agreements is a betrayal and it erodes trust. A believer's word should carry the same weight as his written contract. That reliability is what makes him respected. Sometimes honesty means accepting less profit. In a world obsessed with numbers, that may seem like weakness, but in Allah's scale, it is strength. You may lose a customer who prefers deception, but you gain Allah's pleasure, and that is worth more than any deal. An honest trader never fears poverty. He knows that rizq comes from Allah, not from cheating or manipulation. This faith gives him courage to be truthful because he understands that every cent he earns is already written for him. Honesty, therefore, is not just business ethics, it is trust in Allah's decree. Honesty in trade also builds communities. When people trust each other in buying and selling, relationships flourish, markets grow, and society prospers. But when dishonesty spreads, suspicion and resentment replace trust. A Muslim's honesty contributes to the health and harmony of the entire community. Even in difficulty, honesty must not be abandoned. Struggles in business can tempt people to cheat, but those are the moments that truly test faith. Holding on to honesty when it is hardest is what distinguishes a believer. Allah sees the sacrifice and rewards it with blessings far greater than the loss. Honesty is the soul of business. Profit fades, markets change, but integrity remains eternal. A trader who builds his livelihood on truth not only gains the trust of people, but he also earns the love of Allah. That is why honesty is not just part of trade. It is the very foundation of it. Greed is the hunger that never ends. It begins with a small desire, but once it takes root in the heart, it consumes everything around it. A greedy person is never satisfied, no matter how much they earn, buy, or acquire. And when contentment is lost, baraka disappears. Wealth without peace is nothing but a burden. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that true richness is the richness of the soul, not the abundance of possessions. Greed makes the soul poor. It blinds a person from gratitude and blocks them from seeing the blessings Allah has already given. A heart full of greed will never taste satisfaction. Greed pushes people to chase numbers without caring how those numbers are reached. They may cut corners, exploit workers, or deceive customers. On paper, it looks like success, but in reality, the blessing has gone. That money may bring constant problems, illnesses, or breakdowns that swallow the profit entirely. One of the most dangerous effects of greed is that it erases honesty. A person willing to do anything for gain will not hesitate to lie, cheat, or manipulate. This not only destroys business relationships, but also angers Allah. Dishonesty may fill the wallet, but it empties the heart of barakah. The Quran warns against greed by highlighting the destruction of past nations who were consumed by wealth. They became arrogant, forgot their Lord, and chased endless luxury. But their greed destroyed them, leaving behind ruins as a lesson for those who come after. Greed has always been a path to downfall. A greedy person lives in constant comparison. Instead of thanking Allah for what they have, they measure themselves against others, always wanting more. This robs them of peace and happiness. Gratitude brings barakah, but comparison fueled by greed brings only envy, stress, and emptiness. Greed also breaks families. When wealth becomes the only goal, relationships are neglected. Parents lose time with their children, spouses lose care for one another, and bonds are replaced by material pursuits. Barakah leaves such homes because Allah blesses families built on love and gratitude, not greed. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned against the love of wealth, saying that if the son of Adam had a valley of gold, he would wish for another. Greed is endless. It tricks people into thinking just a little more will satisfy them, but every gain only fuels another desire. Greed makes people selfish. Instead of sharing, they hoard. Instead of giving charity, they calculate every coin. But Allah promises that charity does not decrease wealth. it increases it with barakah. Greed blocks generosity, and when generosity is blocked, blessings are withheld. Greed also corrupts intentions. A person may begin working to provide for family, to earn halal rizq, or to support good causes, but greed shifts the focus to fame, status, and showing off. This change of heart removes sincerity, and with it, Allah's pleasure. Actions without sincerity lose their value. When greed takes over, injustice follows. Workers may be underpaid, customers may be misled, and partners may be cheated. These injustices may bring profit in numbers, but they bring loss in the sight of Allah. The oppressed will testify on the day of judgment, and the greedy will answer for every wrong. Greed blinds people to the temporary nature of this world. They behave as if wealth will last forever, forgetting that every soul will taste death. Barakah reminds us of purpose while greed distracts us from it. A person who lives chasing wealth dies leaving it behind, with no blessing carried to the grave. Greed destroys humility. A person who once thanked Allah for small provisions now feels entitled to more. Pride grows, arrogance takes root, and the humble gratitude that attracted blessings vanishes. Without humility, wealth becomes a curse instead of a gift. Greed also feeds impatience. People who are greedy cannot wait for halal means. They want instant results, even if it means turning to haram. But haram wealth, even if it looks abundant, has no blessing. It poisons the soul and ruins the hereafter. Barakah is only found in patience and halal effort. Greed turns people away from worship. They are too busy counting money, too busy chasing contracts, too busy planning their next deal. Salah is delayed, Quran is neglected, dua is forgotten. A greedy heart has no room for Allah, and a life without Allah has no barakah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that moderation is beauty. When people live with balance, they protect themselves from greed. But when greed pushes them to extremes, balance is lost. This imbalance brings stress, destroys health, and removes the blessing of peace. Greed spreads dishonor in society. Corruption, fraud, and exploitation often begin with a greedy heart. When leaders are greedy, nations collapse. When business people are greedy, communities suffer. But when fairness and generosity prevail, society thrives with barakah. A greedy person cannot appreciate small blessings. Even a meal on the table, good health, or time with family feels worthless compared to what they crave. Yet those very blessings are treasures others pray for. In ignoring them, they lose gratitude, and gratitude is the key to barakah. Greed also breeds constant fear. A greedy person fears losing wealth, fears competition, fears being outdone. They live with anxiety instead of peace. But the believer who trusts Allah and seeks barakah feels secure, knowing that rizq is written and nothing can reduce what Allah has decreed. The Quran describes those who hoard wealth as people who will be punished with what they stored. Greed does not protect wealth, it chains a person to it. Instead of enjoying blessings, they are enslaved by possessions. True freedom comes from letting go of greed and trusting Allah. Greed pushes people to forget the poor. Instead of giving, they justify withholding. But Allah loves those who spend in His path. A society of greedy individuals grows cold and unjust, while a society of generous hearts grows strong and blessed. Greed removes mercy, while generosity brings it back. One of the greatest tragedies of greed is that it convinces a person they are self-sufficient. They forget that rizq comes from Allah. They think their intelligence, hard work, or connections earned everything. This pride leads to downfall. Barakah reminds us of Allah's role. Greed makes us blind to it. Greed blocks contentment, while contentment opens the doors to happiness. A person with barakah may live simply yet feel like a king. A greedy person may live in a palace yet feel poor. The difference is not in possessions, but in the presence or absence of barakah. Greed destroys blessings because it replaces gratitude with desire, generosity with selfishness, and worship with distraction. It may build wealth on the outside, but it empties the soul on the inside. Only when greed is replaced with gratitude, generosity, and trust in Allah does barakah flow once again. Trust in Allah does not mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means putting in your best effort while knowing that the result is in His hands. Many people misunderstand tawakkul, thinking it's an excuse for laziness. In reality, it is the strongest driving force that keeps a believer working with sincerity and peace. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Tie your camel and then trust in Allah." This teaches us balance. You must take every necessary step, plan, prepare, and work hard, but you also accept that success comes only with Allah's permission. Effort without trust creates anxiety, and trust without effort creates failure. When you go to work each day, remind yourself that risk is already written for you. You do not need to chase it in desperation. You need only to seek it through halal means. This belief frees you from greed and dishonesty because you know nothing can reduce what Allah has decreed. Trusting Allah while working also brings contentment. You may not always see instant results, but you believe that every sincere effort is recorded and rewarded. This removes frustration when things don't go as planned. A believer sees setbacks not as failures, but as redirections from Allah. Your job is to strive. Allah's job is to provide. This mindset removes arrogance because you realize that intelligence, skill, or effort alone cannot guarantee success. How many people work tirelessly yet struggle, while others with less effort are blessed with abundance? The difference is the presence of Allah's barakah. Trust in Allah also protects you from despair. When business slows down, when a deal falls through, or when opportunities close, you don't collapse in hopelessness. You remind yourself, Allah never closes a door except that He opens another. This hope keeps you moving forward even in the darkest of times. At the same time, trust is not an excuse to neglect responsibility. You cannot abandon work and expect sustenance to fall from the sky. The birds, as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, described, leave their nests hungry in the morning and return full in the evening. They move, they strive, but they trust Allah for the outcome. Tawakkul also brings calmness to your heart. When others panic about the economy, inflation, or job security, the believer remembers that Allah is Ar-Razzaq, the provider. You take wise steps, but you never lose sleep over what is already written. This trust keeps your mind and soul balanced. Trust in Allah while you work strengthens honesty. You will not feel the need to cheat, manipulate, or deceive, because you know that your risk is not dependent on tricks. It is written by Allah and it will reach you no matter what. This makes your work cleaner, your reputation stronger, and your wealth purer. When you work with trust in Allah, your intention changes. Work is no longer just about survival or money. It becomes worship. Providing for your family, serving your community, and fulfilling your duties with sincerity all become acts of ibadah. Every minute at work can earn reward when coupled with tawakkul. Trust also brings courage to take risks. Many people hold back from starting a business or pursuing an opportunity because of fear. But the believer steps forward knowing that effort is theirs and results are Allah's. That courage, rooted in trust, opens doors others are too afraid to walk through. Tawakkul keeps you humble in success. When profits rise, when opportunities grow, you don't become arrogant. You remind yourself that this was Allah's gift, not solely your doing. This humility ensures you remain grateful, and gratitude is the key to preserving blessings. At the same time, trust helps you accept loss. When a plan fails despite your effort, you know Allah has chosen better for you. This acceptance prevents despair and keeps you moving. Every failure is simply a lesson, and every lesson is a step closer to something greater Allah has prepared. Trust in Allah transforms your work environment. You stop competing with jealousy and instead focus on excellence. You stop comparing your success to others because you know everyone's risk is written differently. This mindset reduces envy and increases peace in relationships. When you trust Allah, you also become generous. You give in charity without fear of becoming poor. You support others in business without fearing competition. You believe the Prophet's words, peace be upon him, that charity never decreases wealth. This generosity brings barakah and strengthens your work. Tawakkul also brings consistency. Many people quit too early because they don't see results. But a believer keeps working with patience, knowing that Allah rewards perseverance. Trust fuels discipline, ensuring that even small daily actions eventually bring big outcomes by Allah's will. Trust in Allah encourages balance between dunya and akhirah. You work hard, but you don't neglect prayer. You strive for success, but you don't compromise your deen. Tawakkul reminds you that real success is not in wealth alone, but in having Allah's pleasure alongside it. When you work with trust, you carry peace into your family. Your children see your reliance on Allah, your spouse feels your calmness, and your home fills with contentment. A household built on tawakkul is protected from stress and anxiety because everyone knows Allah is the true provider. Trust in Allah also keeps you optimistic. Even when you face hardship, you expect good from Allah. You believe His plan is always better, even if you cannot see it now. This optimism is a shield against despair, keeping your heart alive with hope. Tawakkul turns your job into da'wah. When colleagues see your calmness, your honesty, and your reliance on Allah, they notice a difference. They may not understand at first, but your attitude inspires them to ask about your faith. Trust becomes a silent invitation to Islam. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that if you rely upon Allah as you should, He would provide for you as He provides for the birds. This shows that tawakkul is not passive, it is active. The birds leave, they search, they move, but their return is guaranteed by Allah. Trust in Allah brings resilience. Life is unpredictable, but tawakkul ensures you remain steady. Whether in success or failure, ease or difficulty, your heart remains attached to Allah. This stability is the true strength of a believer. Tawakkul also increases gratitude. When you see your efforts succeed, you thank Allah sincerely because you know without Him it would not have been possible. Gratitude attracts more blessings, and thus trust becomes the key to continuous increase. Trusting Allah while you work gives meaning to your effort. It removes arrogance, reduces fear, and protects you from despair. You no longer chase wealth blindly. You work with dignity, honesty, and calmness, knowing that Allah is in full control. This is how tawakkul transforms work into worship. Effort belongs to you, but outcome belongs to Allah. Trust Him and you will never be disappointed. Work sincerely and you will never be empty-handed. For when you combine effort with trust, Allah places barakah in your life, and that is success both here and in the hereafter. Serving people is not a distraction from earning a livelihood. It is a direct path to it. Islam teaches us that helping others, easing their burdens, and providing value is a means through which Allah opens the doors of sustenance. A believer understands that rizq is not just tied to effort, but also to service. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the most beloved people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to others. This shows us that rizq is linked with service. When you dedicate yourself to improving lives, Allah dedicates His blessings to you. The more you give, the more He gives back. Serving people brings rizq because it earns their prayers. When you assist someone in need, even in a small way, they raise their hands for you. A sincere dua from someone you helped may be the reason Allah increases your provisions in ways you never expected. Many people chase wealth by focusing only on their own needs. But true abundance comes when you shift your focus to serving others. A business that prioritizes service over profit becomes trusted and supported, and Allah places barakah in its growth. Rizq flows naturally when the goal is to benefit people. Serving others also purifies your intention. Instead of working only for self-gain, you begin working for Allah's pleasure. This transforms your job into worship. A kind word to a customer, a fair price to a buyer, or help to someone struggling. All of these acts are recorded as ibadah. The Quran encourages believers to give in charity and promises that wealth given in Allah's path is never wasted. Serving people is a form of charity, whether with money, time, or skills. Every act of service is multiplied, and Allah replaces what you gave with something far greater. Rizq is not only money, it is health, peace of mind, good family, and opportunities. Serving people brings all forms of rizq because it attracts Allah's mercy. When you show mercy to others, Allah shows mercy to you, opening doors that money alone could never open. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that removing harm from the path is an act of charity. Something as simple as clearing the way for others is considered service. And even this small act attracts Allah's blessings. Imagine then the reward for greater acts of service. Serving people also brings trust. When you help others sincerely, they remember you and return to you. This trust becomes your reputation, and your reputation becomes a source of rizq. Many successful businesses thrive not because of clever tricks, but because of genuine service that builds loyalty. Helping others also softens the heart. A heart softened by service becomes more grateful and more content. Gratitude attracts barakah, while discontent repels it. By serving people, you train your heart to be less selfish and more thankful, and this opens the doors of rizq. Serving others can be as simple as sharing knowledge. Teaching someone a skill, guiding them in faith, or advising them in business are all acts of service. Allah rewards such efforts by increasing your own opportunities. Knowledge shared never reduces your rizq, it multiplies it. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that the best of people are those who feed others and spread peace. Feeding others, whether poor or rich, is service that brings rizq. Allah promises that those who spend on others will never lose. Their wealth may leave their hands, but it remains preserved with Allah. Serving people brings contentment, and contentment itself is rizq. A person who is satisfied after helping others feels a joy that wealth cannot buy. This joy is a gift from Allah, a form of sustenance that fills the soul and makes life meaningful. When you serve others, Allah takes care of your needs. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that whoever relieves a believer of a difficulty, Allah will relieve him of a difficulty on the day of judgment. Service becomes an investment, so what you give to others comes back to you in multiplied ways. Service also brings opportunities. Many times, a simple act of kindness leads to doors opening in business, work, or relationships. Allah connects hearts through service. A person you helped in their time of need may become the one who later opens a path of rizq for you. Serving others also erases sins, and sins are often what block rizq. By helping people, you purify your record and invite Allah's forgiveness. With forgiveness comes relief, ease, and abundance. Serving others not only benefits them, but clears your own path to success. Serving people builds unity, and unity attracts strength. A divided community struggles, but a united one thrives. When you serve others, you contribute to a healthier society, and Allah blesses that society with collective rizq. Your individual service plays a part in this blessing. Service reminds you that wealth is a trust from Allah. You are not its owner, you are its caretaker. When you use wealth to serve, you fulfill its purpose. When you hoard it out of greed, blessings vanish. Rizq grows when it flows, not when it is locked away. Serving others also teaches humility. When you lower yourself to help someone, Allah raises you in His sight. That elevation comes with honor and rizq. The more you serve, the more Allah honors you, and the more He blesses your sustenance. The Quran describes the Ansar of Medina, who welcomed the Muhajirun with open arms, sharing their wealth and homes. Their service to fellow Muslims was rewarded with Allah's pleasure and lasting rizq. This shows us that collective service brings blessings to entire communities. Serving people with a smile is also service. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that even a smile is charity. Small acts of kindness create ripple effects, softening hearts, improving relationships, and attracting Allah's barakah. Service does not always require wealth. Sometimes it is just kindness. Service is also about fairness in business. Giving people what they deserve, treating customers with respect, and ensuring quality are all forms of service. Such fairness builds trust, and trust is the foundation of sustainable risk. Serving others removes selfishness, and selfishness is one of the greatest barriers to risk. When you think only of yourself, you block blessings. But when you think of others, Allah thinks of you. He provides in ways you never imagined because you made service a priority. Serving people is serving Allah. When you care for His creation, you earn His care. The risk that comes from service is not just financial, it is holistic, filling every corner of your life with peace and blessing. That is why service is one of the most powerful keys to provision. Wealth will come and go, but the service you gave to others remains eternal. The du'as of those you helped, the blessings you spread, and the lives you touched will testify for you. And the risk that comes through service will follow you into the hereafter. Small earnings may not impress the world, but in the sight of Allah, they carry immense value when earned with honesty. Many people measure success by wealth and size, but Allah measures by sincerity and barakah. A little that is halal and blessed is better than a mountain of haram that destroys peace. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the most beloved wealth is that which is earned through the work of your own hands. Even a simple coin earned with effort and honesty has more reward than thousands earned through deceit. Allah looks at the purity, not the amount. Small earnings carry peace of mind. You may have little, but you sleep with contentment knowing that your income is halal. On the other hand, wealth earned through dishonesty may fill the hand, but empties the heart. True richness lies in a clean conscience, not in overflowing pockets. Barakah makes a small amount sufficient. A believer with a modest income may find that their needs are met, their family is content, and their home is filled with harmony. Another may earn much more, yet always feel short. This is the secret of barakah. Allah stretches the little and removes the stress of chasing more. Small earnings bring humility. When you are not obsessed with wealth, you learn to appreciate the blessings you already have. You eat with gratitude, spend carefully, and avoid extravagance. This humility attracts more blessings because Allah increases for those who thank Him. A man once came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, asking about honest work. He was advised to chop wood and sell it rather than beg. That simple act of effort was more honorable in Allah's sight than relying on others. It shows that even small earnings with dignity are better than laziness. Small halal earnings are also a shield against sin. When you earn little but contentedly, you avoid the temptations of greed, arrogance, and exploitation. You remain grounded, remembering that this life is temporary and the true reward awaits in the hereafter. Every coin earned through honest means becomes a testimony on the day of judgment. That small halal income may be the reason Allah showers His mercy upon you. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that Allah is pure and accepts only what is pure. Your small, clean earnings are treasures in His sight. Small earnings also cultivate patience. You may have to work harder, sacrifice luxuries, and wait longer for your goals, but this patience builds character, and every moment of patience is rewarded without measure. Your small earnings combined with sabr become mountains of reward. Raising a family on small halal earnings is an act of worship. Each morsel of food you provide becomes charity. Each sacrifice you make for your children is recorded. It is not about the size of the provision, but about the purity of what you bring into your home. Small earnings often come with simplicity, and simplicity brings peace. A simple home, simple meals, and a simple lifestyle reduce arrogance and keep the heart connected to Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived simply despite being able to have much. His example shows us that less can be more. Sometimes Allah withholds large wealth to protect you. If He knows that abundance would corrupt your heart, He blesses you instead with small earnings that keep you close to Him. That protection itself is risk, because what matters is not what you have, but how it affects your soul. Small earnings push you toward gratitude. Every payment, every sale, every effort feels like a blessing. Gratitude attracts more from Allah, as He promises, if you are grateful, I will increase you. Sometimes small earnings open the door to larger ones, simply because gratitude multiplied the blessing. Small halal earnings can feed generations with barakah. Many parents worked hard with little but raised children who became leaders, scholars and contributors to society. Their rizq was not in money alone, but in the goodness of their family. That is the unseen reward of pure earnings. Small earnings also teach generosity. A person who has little but still shares is more beloved to Allah than one who gives from abundance without care. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, praised those who gave even half a date in charity. Small earnings with a generous heart bring massive rewards. When you earn little but remain content, you inspire others. People see your peace, your gratitude and your reliance on Allah, and they are reminded that wealth is not the only path to happiness. You become an example of how barakah outshines numbers. Small earnings protect you from arrogance. When people grow wealthy, they sometimes forget Allah and look down on others. But a modest lifestyle keeps you humble, connected to your faith and aware of your dependence on Allah. That humility is a form of richness that wealth cannot buy. A believer trusts that every effort is written, even if the outcome seems small. Allah never overlooks the struggle. A day's wage earned honestly may appear minor, but it is written as worship. Each small effort builds a record that will shine brightly on the day of judgment. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned against belittling small deeds. Likewise, we must not belittle small earnings. A coin earned honestly can weigh heavily on the scale of good deeds, while large amounts earned dishonestly may weigh against us. It is quality, not quantity, that matters. Small earnings also reduce accountability. On the day of judgment, those with massive wealth will be asked about every detail, but those with less will face fewer questions. Their small halal income spent wisely becomes a means of ease in the hereafter. Living with small earnings builds resilience. You learn to endure hardships, to adapt, and to remain grateful despite challenges. This resilience is itself a blessing because it strengthens your faith and prepares you for greater responsibilities in life and the hereafter. Small earnings also allow you to value time. When you are not consumed by greed and endless work, you have space for prayer, family, and reflection. That time is priceless and it becomes part of your rizq. True wealth is not only in possessions but also in how you spend your time. Small halal earnings remind you of dependence on Allah. Each day you work, you know your provision is written by Him alone. This constant reliance keeps your heart soft and your prayers sincere. A person who prays for small earnings with barakah is wealthier than one who forgets Allah in abundance. Small earnings with big rewards are about perspective. What people may dismiss as insignificant, Allah values highly if it comes with sincerity. The believer knows that every effort counts and that barakah is greater than numbers. Small today may be enormous in the scale of the hereafter. It is not the size of your income, but the presence of Allah's blessing that matters. A little with barakah will take you further than a fortune without it. Work honestly, live simply, give generously, and trust Allah, and you will discover that even small earnings carry the biggest rewards. Business in Islam is not just about money. It can be a direct path to paradise. Every honest transaction, every fair deal, and every act of service done with sincerity can become worship. The believer who works with halal effort and pure intentions transforms daily business into a bridge leading straight to Jannah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the truthful, honest merchant will be with the prophets, the righteous, and the martyrs on the day of judgment. This shows us the dignity of business done correctly. A trader who deals with honesty is not simply earning, he is building his place in Jannah. Business becomes a path to Jannah when it is rooted in fairness. Giving people their rights, avoiding deception, and being transparent in dealings are all beloved to Allah. Even if you lose some profit in this world, Allah replaces it with blessings in the next. Every fair trade becomes a seed planted for eternity. Serving people through business is also worship. Providing for their needs, solving their problems, and offering them value are all ways of serving Allah's creation. When you do this sincerely, every customer becomes an opportunity to earn reward. Your shop, your office, or your service becomes a place of ibadah. Charity is deeply tied to business. A portion of every halal earning when given in zakat or sadaqah purifies wealth and multiplies reward. Each time you give, you are not reducing your income. You are investing in your hereafter. Business that gives back is business that leads to Jannah. Business also becomes a path to Jannah when workers are treated with justice. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, commanded that wages should be paid before the sweat dries. Employers who honor their workers not only gain loyalty in this world, but also reward with Allah. Fairness to employees is worship. Patience in business is another key to Jannah. Not every deal will succeed, not every investment will flourish. But when you remain patient, avoiding haram shortcuts and trusting Allah, He rewards your endurance. Patience is not weakness, it is proof of faith, and Allah grants paradise to the patient. Business as a path to Jannah requires avoiding riba and haram practices. Riba may look profitable, but it destroys barakah and brings Allah's anger. Choosing halal methods, even if they seem slower, keeps your earnings pure. That purity is what turns money into a blessing and business into worship. Business becomes worship when you make your intention for Allah. Working to provide for your family, to serve your community, or to support good causes transforms ordinary transactions into extraordinary deeds. The difference lies in the heart. Sincere intention makes every effort an act of faith. Generosity in business brings Jannah closer. Offering fair prices, helping those in need, or forgiving a debt when someone struggles are all acts loved by Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, promised mercy for the one who is gentle when selling, buying, and demanding his right. Such mercy leads to paradise. Even the simplest acts in business can bring reward. A smile to a customer, honest advice about a product, or patience with a difficult client are all counted as good deeds. When done with the right intention, these small acts become treasures waiting in Jannah. Business also becomes a path to Jannah by spreading barakah. When your work is halal, your earnings are clean, and your dealings are honest, the barakah extends to your family. The food you place on the table becomes pure nourishment, and the clothing you buy becomes a source of dignity. This purity leads to Allah's pleasure. Sacrifice in business is also rewarded. Turning down a haram contract, refusing dishonest gains, or losing profit for the sake of integrity may feel difficult, but Allah replaces every sacrifice with something better. Each sacrifice is recorded as worship, guiding you closer to paradise. Business as a path to Jannah means remembering Allah during work. Too many people get consumed by contracts and forget their salah, but the true believer keeps Allah at the center. Closing your shop for prayer, remembering Him in your heart, and staying mindful of halal and haram all ensure your path remains straight. Trust in Allah is crucial in business. You make plans, but you know rizq is written by Him alone. This trust frees you from greed and anxiety. It allows you to focus on honesty and excellence, knowing Allah will provide. That reliance transforms your daily efforts into acts of worship. A business person with taqwa always succeeds, even if the numbers look small. Taqwa protects you from cheating, arrogance, and greed. It ensures your wealth is clean and your conscience is clear. That inner peace is itself a blessing, and it will carry you to Jannah when combined with good deeds. Business is also about building relationships. When people trust you, when they see your fairness and sincerity, they make dua for you. The prayers of those you serve are powerful, and they may be the reason Allah grants you entry into paradise. Never underestimate the dua of a satisfied customer. Business as a path to Jannah is also about humility. Even in success, a believer remains grateful and remembers that all provision is from Allah. Gratitude attracts more blessings and ensures wealth is not a distraction. Gratitude turns abundance into worship and worship into paradise. Sometimes Allah tests you in business with loss. If you remain patient, refusing to compromise your principles, that loss becomes a source of reward. In the hereafter, you will see mountains of blessings recorded for the moments you stayed steadfast. Loss in dunya can become profit in akhirah. Business becomes worship when you avoid arrogance. Wealth and success often make people look down on others, but the believer uses his wealth to lift others. Helping the poor, supporting good causes, and staying humble ensure that wealth becomes a ladder to Jannah, not a chain dragging you down. Business as a path to Jannah also means spreading justice. When you create opportunities for others, when you empower people through fair wages and honest partnerships, you build a legacy of goodness. Allah rewards those who establish justice, and their work continues to benefit them even after death. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that sadaqah jariyah, ongoing charity, continues even after death. Businesses that serve people in lasting ways become sources of ongoing reward. A school you funded, a well you built, or a service you offered may continue writing good deeds for you long after you leave this world. Business becomes a path to Jannah by protecting others from harm. Selling safe, halal products, avoiding exploitation, and prioritizing people's well-being show that you value lives over profits. Allah blesses such traders, and their care for others becomes a reason for mercy on the day of judgment. Business is not separate from faith. It is one of the greatest tests of sincerity. If done with honesty, fairness, service, and gratitude, it becomes a direct route to Jannah. If done with greed, dishonesty, and arrogance, it becomes a path to destruction. The choice is yours every single day. Business as a path to Jannah is about turning the ordinary into extraordinary. Your shop, your office, your contracts, and your earnings can all be acts of worship. When done with sincerity, every deal brings you closer to Allah, and every effort becomes a step toward eternal success in paradise. True success in business is not measured by numbers, but by the peace that comes with Allah's blessing. You may own little, yet live with contentment, or you may own much, yet feel restless. What determines the difference is barakah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that integrity in trade, fairness in dealings, and sincerity in effort bring honor not just in this world, but in the next. So as you work, remind yourself every coin earned in the right way is an investment for eternity. Build with honesty, and Allah will build for you in paradise.